you heard from the experts, it was not an easy job to technically design and supply water to the city. Getting it from 95 kilometers away, 300 meters below, from a river was a magnificent engineering feat. But as the city drifted away from its local water resources of lakes and tanks and went to the river, it completely forgot its lakes. Lakes started to receive sewage. They started to be encroached. Construction debris and waste started to be dumped there. And gradually the city of lakes started to lose almost all of them. The bird watchers were the first to highlight this indifference that the city was showing to lakes and the loss of biodiversity that was being caused, especially bird biodiversity was reducing dramatically. Civil society also took the issue to the courts and started to put pressure on the state to clean up its act. In combination with civil society and the state, some of the lakes of Bangalore have now started to get revived. Come, let's see what's happening there.
Hi, I'm Veena Srinivasan, Director of the Center for Social and Environmental Innovation at the Ashoka Trust for Research in Ecology and the Environment in Bangalore. Bangalore once had over 200 lakes. These lakes, locally called tanks, were built hundreds of years ago by constructing earthen dams on the city's stream channels. The lakes were built to harvest and store rainwater for irrigation in the dry season. They were constructed on the stream channels in a cascading chain, so the lakes are all connected to each other. As one overflows, the water flows downstream. But the city's lakes no longer serve the irrigation functions that they were originally built for. As the city grew and urbanized, and irrigation disappeared, today the city's lakes primarily serve recreational and ecological functions. Indeed, they also boost the city's water security by recharging groundwater and mitigating floods. But Bangalore's lakes are also in deep, serious trouble. As the city has grown and sewage infrastructure lagged behind, many buildings began to release untreated sewage into the stormwater drains or rajakaluves that feed the lakes. As sewage pollution entered the lakes, nutrient levels rose, leading to harmful algal blooms, fish kills, froth, and even fire. This paints a gloomy picture for the future of the city's lakes, but there are signs of hope. Bangalore has one of the most active citizen communities engaged in rejuvenating and reviving lakes. There are over 80 citizen groups engaged in reviving and managing Bangalore's lakes, some informal networks, others registered trusts. And these groups play three important roles. First, interagency coordination. A typical lake rejuvenation project involves over 4 to 5 government agencies. These agencies often do not coordinate over common goals or execution of civil works. And the citizen groups play an important role in connecting the dots. Second, citizen groups play an important role in fostering a sense of ownership and raising environmental awareness. They organize lake cleanup drives, garbage segregation during festivals, tree plantation drives, bird and nature walks, and photography and art exhibitions. Third, citizen groups monitor the lake health and innovate new solutions. A common problem across many of Bangalore's lakes is sewage ingress, leading to harmful algal blooms. In the absence of quick fix solutions, citizen groups have attempted constructed wetlands, floating wetlands, bioenzymes, and even solar aerators. But there is still room for improvement. One of the big critiques of citizen engagement is that the citizen lake groups often focus on aesthetics rather than actually improving lake water quality. They are also critiqued for being non-inclusive because the proceedings are often conducted in English and focus on property values and aesthetics and recreation rather than livelihoods and drinking water security. First, the citizen groups work largely independently. Because the lakes themselves are interconnected, there is an urgent need for the citizen groups to coordinate with each other and work off a common infrastructure plan that looks at sewage treatment plants, constructed wetlands, and stormwater drains. Second, although the citizen groups innovate, the jury is still out on the effectiveness of many of the solutions. What is needed is a living labs approach where the citizen groups systematically monitor the outcomes of the different interventions that they try and report back so others may learn from their successes and failures. Finally, there is a need to work with the ward committees to ensure constitutional and political backing for lake rejuvenation efforts. With these small tweaks, Bangalore's citizen-led lake rejuvenation efforts can become an exemplar for the rest of the country. Thank you.
Namaskar. I'm Annapurna Kamath, founder trustee of Jal Poshan, a citizen initiative to conserve the Jakkur Lake. Jala means water and Poshan means nurturing, and that's what we do here at Jal Poshan. Jakkur Lake is a classic example of citizens collaborating for conservation. So we call it the 3 C's: citizens, collaboration and conservation. Jakkur Lake is a historic lake aging about 700 years old as per historians. Settlements around this lake were mainly because this was a water source. So we are not only conserving water here, but conserving a natural heritage and a water tradition. Urbanization normally leads to problems like garbage and sewage. And when Jakkur, which was a rural village, was added to the city limits, we had the same problem at Jakkur Lake. And that's when the Lake Development Authority asked the Bangalore Development Authority, BDA, to revive and rejuvenate this lake. Bangalore Development Authority rejuvenated this lake in 2008. Dewatering, desilting, bund formation, islands, inlet-outlet improvisations and plantation was a few things that they did. The major components of the rejuvenation were the STP, the constructed wetland, and the habitat creation. The BWSSB, Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board, has a 10 MLD STP at the northern inlet of the lake. Domestic waste from upstream Yelahanka is treated here, and then the treated water is released into the wetland. The wetland further filters this water through natural plants and removes the nitrates and phosphates, and then the clean water enters the main water body. The main water body, which receives the clean water from the wetland, recharges the groundwater. A Bangalore University study says it's about 7 MLD of recharge every day. This we can observe in the open wells and the tube wells in and around the lake, which are charged and supply continuous drinking water to the villages. Today the STP receives close to 20 MLD of sewage, and the entire treated water is released into the Jakkur Lake. 500 species of plants and trees, 200 species of birds, 100 species of butterflies and 200 kgs of fish shield indicates that this treated water supports biodiversity and an ecology thrives at Jakkur Lake. Jakkur receives overflow water from the upstream Yelahanka, Puttinalli and Alalsandra lakes, and the overflow of Jakkur goes to the downstream lakes and then finally enters the Dakshin Pinakini river. So lake conserved is a river conserved, and lake conservation in turn leads to river conservation and riverine ecosystem conservation. Jal Poshan, the citizen group, took over the lake conservation when BDA finished their work at the lake. The lake was handed over to BBMP, which is the current custodian of the lake, and Jal Poshan, in association with BBMP, works with all the stakeholders, the elected representatives, the governing agencies, the fishermen, the grass cutters, the home guards, the local community, the scientific fraternity, the corporates, educational institutes to conserve this lake, our community lake. Programs like Shramadan, Jal Tarang, Nature's Gurukul aim at creating awareness and education about lake conservation in the community. The lake has been identified as a model for integrated urban water management system, citizen participation in conservation, and groundwater recharge through participation of community. Afforestation leads to better rainfall, and lakes are rainwater harvesting systems. We, through Vanamotsava, do plantation every year to increase the green cover at the lake. Growing cities have water challenges, and for a city like Bengaluru, our main water source are our lakes. Water resilience can be achieved only through water conservation, so conservation is the way forward. We at Jal Poshan believe we can change climate change, so our community of change makers are going to ensure we have a better future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Garima Bhatia, and I work with Nature Conservation Foundation as a part of our education and public engagement program. I work in the field of nature education, and I lead a project called Early Bird, which aims to get children and young adults interested in and excited about birds and bird watching, and through it develop a deeper connection with the natural world. In today's fast-paced life, children are increasingly becoming more and more disconnected from nature, which is a real challenge, especially since at no other time in the history of humanity have we faced the kind of environmental crises that we do today. How does one then motivate the next generation to become responsible custodians of the planet if they have never heard the sweet song of a magpie robin, or marveled at an amalthus tree in bloom, or watched fascinated as a spider weaves her silken web? In this context, the role of publicly accessible urban green spaces cannot be overemphasized. Urban lakes especially are a boon to the nature educator. In Bangalore, where I live, we are fortunate to have a number of lakes that are getting protected and promoted by groups of concerned citizens in collaboration with the government. As a bird watcher, I often take children and adults from my neighborhood to one of the nearby lakes where we watch colorful herons, storks and kingfishers going about their daily business. As the winter approaches, we wait in excited anticipation for the return of the migratory birds that flock to these wetland habitats. Bird watching is indeed a lifetime ticket to the theatre of nature. And if our children have to know and love sunbirds, kingfishers and kites, and not just the hummingbirds, kookaburras and bald eagles that they see on the television, then we must nurture these urban lakes as biodiversity hotspots for the next generation. Thank you.